Evening and welcome into the Coaches Show, as always presented by Smith's. We're at the basketball offices tonight here on campus. Coming off a big weekend for Utah basketball. We'll talk about that and the big week that lies ahead. They're all big from here on out. So we'll talk about those coming up on the program today. If you want to reach the program, a couple of ways you can do it. Shoot us a text at 877-353-0700 or tweet at ESPN 700 Bill, and we'll get your thoughts to Coach tonight. We'll talk some Utah basketball, look back on the big weekend in Southern California, the wins over USC and UCLA. Arizona coming in Thursday night, Arizona State coming in on Saturday night, so big games this week for the Utes as well. All that coming up here on the Coaches Show as we welcome in the well-coiffed head coach of the University of Utah. Your hair looks good. Well-coiffed.
Okay.
It looks like
that's a big word for a haircut.
I know. I know you're a Montana guy. I'm going to try and teach you a little something here today. So well coiffed. How are you?
How do you spell that?
C-O-I-F-F-E-D, coiffed.
Okay.
I think. Somebody out there will correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to go with C-O-I.
Doing good.
It was a good weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. We were in L.A. We were gone Tuesday to Sunday, so. It was a long time. In the first half at UCLA, kind of seemed like we were in beach mode. We weren't, it's hard to be in a hotel and away from home for that long. So, it wasn't a stellar first half. We weren't ready. We watched some film today, and, it was obviously just an amazing last 10 minutes of that game to be a part of.
So for those that didn't catch the post-game show, you sat down with Jimmy and I after the game, and You've told me things of this nature before. Sometimes you get vibes or premonitions or feelings, whatever you want to call those. And you told us after the game you had some sort of a feeling at halftime that your team was going to rally. And you said you've only had really one of those feelings another time when you were coaching, was back in your days at Montana. Walk us through what's going on at halftime, because you didn't play well in the first half and you're down double digits at halftime to a UCLA team that really couldn't miss in the first half.
Yeah, well, we helped that. I mean, our defensive transition was really poor. We had some miscommunication, I thought, in our zone, and then what our concepts were going to be after that, and it was kind of a perfect storm. UCLA, fastest paced team in our conference, and, even when we scored, they pushed it at us. I just thought, between them cutting and getting open layups, our pick and roll coverage was messed up, and they got dunks. The first half was we just made it so easy for that team, and I was looking at them, and that's Southern California. That's what it's all about. When those teams are scoring, then they have a lot of fun and they guard you well enough and all kinds of things. And I just challenged our guys to forget what was written on the board, and there wasn't a whole lot written on the board, but we just have to play harder, and it was all about playing harder. And I had known that UCLA came back. They were down 11 at Oregon earlier in the year, 11 points with 1:07 to go. And I just thought there's a little bit of karma in our league. You win a game like that maybe people say, man, you really shouldn't do that. And I sensed that there was a chance if we took care of the ball and guarded that we could get on a little bit of a roll. I didn't know it was going to happen in the last couple minutes of the game. But, I told Mike Greenstein, one of the refs, standing in front of us with about 17 minutes to go, and I don't believe I've ever said this to a ref in my life, but I said, hey, just hang in there, don't blow any calls, be on top of your game, because we're going to come back. And I said, what, this thing's going to be on SportsCenter. And he was joking with me. He said, that's what I love about you. And I said, no, it's my anniversary here, and I'm not sure my wife even told me that. And he said, really? So we had a little, I wonder what he's thinking after the game when it ended up happening. But I did have a vibe. I told our guys that every time out, same kind of concept. I even hit them with the little da-na-da, da-na-da. Like, hey, this is built for SportsCenter. And lo and behold, the kids made some plays, and it was so much fun to be a part of.
When did you feel like it was changing? Because with 12 minutes left, you're down 69-47. Right before that second media timeout, whatever it is, you're down 22 points. And then with 5.5 minutes left, you're still down 17. You had made a couple of runs, you cut it, and then they got back out again. So at what point in time did you start feeling good about, okay, okay, we're in this thing. We're feeling good about it.
I never did feel that way
Okay.
during the whole stretch. It was just, once things started rolling, obviously there was more momentum and you started thinking, okay, let's just keep going. Hopefully there's enough time. We went into a little foul plan, with 4 minutes to go. We went small. There were a lot of things happening. But, I believed all the time that we could pull it off. But there was never a point in the game. You were there. It wasn't like you just, okay, now we're – because there were enough of those streaks like you talked about. We even came out to start the second half and put a 6 or 7-0 run on them and cut it just like we were talking. And then within a minute, we were back down 20.
Yeah.
So enough of those streaks, and it was just more, hey, let's find a little groove and make some plays. We got them to turn it over. I think that was the big key. They turned it over more than anybody in our conference. We hadn't allowed any of those or created any of those to start with, but Riley was playing center field and got a couple steals. Some things started to happen, and our guys started to believe.
Yeah, they did, and the second half was just, it was a grind. And, sometimes when a team comes back from 20, 22 down, whatever it might be, a lot of times maybe the other team collapses. Maybe they just turned it over 4 or 5 times in a row. UCLA was still making shots. They were getting some dunks, and they were making some shots, so it wasn't as if they completely melted down in that game. Your guys just stuck with it. And I really thought it was a half where Parker Van Dyke, and I told you this after the game, at some point maybe you just need to tell him it's the second half all the time because he had all his points in the second half. He did that at USC too. He had 15, including the game winner, which we'll get to. But your young guys, Timmy Allen continued to play. You mentioned Riley Batten. He had one hustle play, Larry, where I think Donnie missed the dunk. Donnie Tillman missed a dunk, and Riley was there following the play, laid it up off the glass. And UCLA gets it in, throws it long to Prince Ali, and Riley's already back and makes the interception. He had the layup, and he got back and made one of his 2 half-court steals.
Yeah.
And then Booth Gotch hits a long 3, and Timmy gets another and 1, and all of a sudden it goes from 17 down to 10, down to 8, and then it was 8 with about 2.5 minutes. And I think once you get it to about 8 in single digits, then you can start to see that light. Then you can start to really see the path of how to get there.
Yeah, and we didn't have to talk about the comeback at that point because we were in the middle of it,
Right.
And that's where Riley and a lot of our guys are really starting to grow. Is just the energy that you bring to the game. You've seen the league enough to know now, and there's a correlation, and that's why we have those big posters in our practice facility. And it seems like little things, but play hard, play smart, and play together. And hard, almost always. Like if you look back at a game, and usually the team that gets the check mark for playing harder is the team. And fortunately, we played hard enough, way harder than them for a period of time when the rim really opened up for us. But Riley's starting to figure that out. He made a hustle play, and I don't know that 2 months ago would have made another hustle play. And so it's having a second and third effort attempt, even when you're breaking a press. Our guys are learning that it's really hard on offense and defense, but you got to stay in plays. You got to wind them up. If you're going to be a great draw and kick team, you can't be the guy that I pass it to you and then just kind of jog through and maybe replace myself. It's about passing and cutting to an open spot, opening up teammates. And I think that's what our guys are figuring out. We had a really good practice again today, but the movement, ball movement and player movement, and that's what we're starting to figure out. And that was a big part when we got a bunch of great looks because guys made extra passes.
I went back yesterday morning and I was just looking at the comeback. It was 22 with 12 to play. It was 17 with 5.5 to play. But you're down 6 with 55. So I went back and looked at the play-by-play. Booth Gotch grabs a rebound, a defensive rebound. It must have been off a missed free throw maybe. And it was 55 seconds and you're down 6. It's 84-78. Your team scored 15 points in the last 55 seconds of the game. It's a pretty amazing number at any level of basketball. I mean, even in the NBA, they don't often score at that rate. 15 points in the last 55 seconds of the game. Booth hits that deep 3.
Yeah.
Miss free throws, and it's a 1-point game. Walk us through the last play because you didn't have a timeout. You didn't draw necessarily that last play up.
Yeah.
But Parker and said that they've been together enough. Yeah, you guys have talked about it in practice and other places.
Yeah, and we played. We were playing a small lineup, and at the point we were down 2 when they missed one of those free throws, 2 is fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we said, hey, guys, come down. We got to jack up a 3 because, we don't want to go to overtime. And prior to that, in some of those plays, you heard me yelling at Cedric, let's get a layup.
Yeah.
Like they're all standing at the 3-point line, the defense, not wanting to give up threes. And that the clock was a big part of our enemy at that point. So instead of, and you watch guys pass around, you end up taking a bad 3. And then they get the rebound. Let's go get a layup. The clock stops. They take it out of bounds. Maybe you get, one of those crazy turnovers, which we had, and give yourself a chance to regroup. But when we were shooting free throws, we had a couple of opportunities to hunker our guys together, and we talked about Parker taking the ball out of bounds and Cedric trying to get a layup, push it, and they obviously shut him down. And Parker, again, on my topic of continuing to move, came in behind him, and he hit a heck of a shot.
It was a Villanova play. It was the play Nova won the national championship on a couple of years ago. The trail play up the floor.
Yeah.
And by the way, it was not a wide open look.
No.
It was. There were 2 guys. I think I went back and looked at the still photo. Singleton and Smith especially very long. Both had hands up, but Parker caught it clean and got that shot off. And it was. You like to talk about karma. It was kind of the same shot that he had at Arizona.
Same spot.
That went down and popped out. That would have been a game winner.
Yeah.
This time it stayed down for
Yeah,
him.
I was thinking that actually all those thoughts went through my head as Parker was jumping up to shoot it. I'm like, like here we go again. And I don't even know if I looked. I was just kind of like, oh man, come on. You're rooting for a guy like that to make a play. And God, it was just nothing but bottom. And then the old Utes led for
half a second.
That's
all that matters.
Yep.
So it's a good win. You get that Southern California sweep. Not only the Southern California sweep, for the first time in 4 years, you guys are the first school to sweep all the California schools on the road. Northern California and Southern California schools.
Yeah, I didn't
Hasn't
realize
happened
that.
since I think Arizona did it back in 2015.
Yeah. No, we're playing well on the road. There's a sense of urgency, and guys, I love the camaraderie with the team. It's really special watching the interactions. I've, wandered into some guys are huddled out at the pool and spending time together. They're a fun group. I know they're getting rested and fed well, and it's really important. And the message today was, I don't know what it is. You play with an edge. You play nothing to lose kind of mentality. But I sensed sometimes at home we just think something magical is going to happen because we're playing at home.
Yeah.
And that's not the case, And we've got 4 home games, 3 road games. And we're in the hunt, for one of those buys. And I'm asking our guys to step up in a big way. And I guess I'm making a play for our fans to do the same. In a position we're tied for second, and we've got to protect our home court. And the fans are a big part of this. It really is. And Utah is one of the best places to play. I'm not sure we've given the best effort at times at home, and I'm not sure our fans have. And I've never really called anybody out, but this is really one of those times for our program specifically to be in your seats and be ready to go, because we're going to try to be ready to go on the opening tip. And we're playing against, an Arizona team, which, if my math is correct on some research, we're 1-14 against.
You beat them once. You beat them here 2 years ago at home.
Yeah, but we're 1-14 in our time, and we know what a storied program Arizona is, and makes no difference to me what they're in the middle of right now. This is an opportunity that we have to be ready to get after.
7 o'clock on Thursday night, Utah fans. Get
I think
your
it's
tickets.
6:30.
Is it 6? It may have changed. 6:30 on Thursday night, Utah fans.
Wink,
Get
wink.
your tickets at UtahUtes.com, UtahTickets.com, and be loud. Create a home court advantage. We'll talk about the Wildcats and the Sun Devils, who will be in on Saturday coming up. But when we get back on the other side, I want to talk a little bit about the freshmen, who are no longer freshmen. They may say FR next to their name, but when you've played as many games as they've played in tough atmospheres this year, you're not quite a freshman anymore. So we'll talk about the production they gave on Saturday. We'll have our weekly awards and a whole lot more coming up. It's This Game Week is being brought to you, too, by our friends at Mountain Dew and Pepsi, proud sponsors of University of Utah Athletics. Do the do, and do it Thursday night at the Huntsman Center with Mountain Dew. Back on the Coaches Show presented by Smith's next. This is Utah basketball from Learfield IMG College. He does. Parker Van Dyke, the hero in Westwood. That's our Pepsi and Code Red Pepsi Play of the Week. That was the easiest choice all year long for JP Chunga back at the studio tonight. Our Play of the Week brought to you by Code Red Mountain Dew, proud partner of University of Utah Athletics. That wasn't just our Pepsi Play of the Week. That was the Sports Center Play of the Night the other night. That was the #1 play on Sports Center.
Yeah, and you had the audio.
Yeah, I know. It was nice of that. I even got my name right across the top of the screen there. Yeah. When we landed, you stayed back. You and Jan had a nice dinner on Saturday night. But when we landed back here in Salt Lake City, I turned on my phone. I must have had 50 text messages from my friends. Hey, you're on Sports Center.
Yeah, it was cool. You know, it was a neat deal. I had my phone off, and I turned it on when I got back to the hotel, and I'd never had it happen in that way where, you know, as your phone's catching up and it was going double digits, it got up to 97, but it would be, you know, like I told Jan, I go, I got 38 texts, and then before I could even open them, it was like 50 something, 70 something. So people from around the country, it was neat. You know, and I think it kind of goes unnoticed maybe for some people, but don't forget who made the pass. You know, I think
it was Cedric.
Cedric is growing in that. I think not that long ago, he probably would have tried to just shoot that under pressure. And that's the trust I think that our team is gaining with each other. Again, if you move and get yourself open. But that was pretty fitting that it was one senior to the next assist, and then a heck of a shot by Parker.
Well, yeah, and that was, you know, I think that was part of the thing that sold it, because Cedric is #1 option generally in that situation. That's why UCLA closed so hard on him above the three-point arc, and then he just kind of turned and tossed it back, and the rest was history. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about production. You know, we've talked about your 3 true freshmen, you know, Nassim's sitting out this year. He's part of the bomb squad on the practice squad, but in Lahat too, and he's now practicing a little bit with you. But your 3 freshmen combined for 47 points, 18 rebounds, 10 assists, and 5 steals. That was their production Saturday. Timmy had 22, 7. Riley Batten had a career game. He was back home. Mom and dad, grandparents, friends were all up there at 18 points and 8 rebounds, which were both career highs, and he had those 3 big steals. And then Lahat's line, I felt like he had more. Maybe I felt like that three-pointer was worth about 5.
Booth.
What did I say?
Booth,
Lahat. Yeah, Booth's 3 was like a rock and jock 5-pointer out there. Yeah. But he had 7 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds for you. So 47, 18, and 10, Larry, with 5 steals. That's pretty good production from 3 freshmen.
Yeah, no, it was, and those kids, you know, they keep getting better. We made a lineup change prior to the USC game, tried to jumpstart Booth. And Parker, you know, that's another storyline when you talk about sub of the week, player of the week. Players all want to start. I mean, I played, and starting was important to me, so I understand that. But, you know, when I was explaining it to Parker on the bus heading over to the USC game, I thought about it over the weekend and kind of made a change early in the week. But, you know, Parker, before I can even explain to Parker why I was taking it, he goes, I don't care, Coach. We just need to get a win. I'm fine with it, you know. And so I think when you look back at the whole weekend, it really propelled Booth to get out there and start. But Parker, again, coming off the bench, handled it with a lot of class. And it's very fitting, I think, that, you know, he made the play of the game.
Yeah, he did. And Parker's coming off the bench, it's that old cliche, would you rather play the first 5 minutes or the last 5 minutes? And Parker's been on the floor for you at the end of those games. Frankly, Booth has too, because he's played well, but Parker had 9 all in the second half against SC, and he hit that big 3 against SC. They were making that run to get back in it, and he hit that 3 with about 2 minutes left to put you back up 10.
Right.
And then he had 15 the other night against UCLA, and all those 15 came in the second half as well, including some really big shots late, and some threes earlier too that got you back in it.
Yeah,
that helped chip away at that thing too.
Yeah.
So 25. We'll jump ahead here, but he's got to be our Subway Sub of the Week since you brought him off the bench.
Yeah.
For the shots that he hit and the points that he gave you, and obviously that play.
Yeah. No, and he's a great kid, and all our guys. You know, and I said this last year. But this team is remarkable, and came in and we set the tone in practice today. And you know, here's an example in the film room. Ask guys about karma, and anybody have something they want to share. And Chuck,
Charles Jones.
Out of the blue, says, hey, when Parker hit his second three, I knew we were going to win. And Chuck said, yeah, you shared, and I shared that with him, like we're 8-1 when Parker has 2 threes or something crazy like that. And Chuck, here's a guy that's not playing a lot of minutes. He's actually in Parker's position, and he's the first guy that chimes in with something that's very positive about Parker and how he's paying attention to the whole thing. And it just, and then we go out and practice, and it's been good. I mean, we need to improve a lot of areas. But man, it's a fun group, and it's super competitive. We'll switch teams up a little bit, and it got a little dicey today in practice. And that's the thing, you want to come in and practice every day as though you lost the game, and it could be miserable. I mean, as coaches, we try to set the tone, but we could have very easily lost that game. And then the reality is we are coming off a loss, and you got to protect your home court. So there's really no time to get complacent or satisfied with where we are, especially in light of the previous month where you go on the road and win 2 in Northern California, and you come home and you don't beat any of the Oregon schools.
Right.
So, I hear we've learned that lesson before. Let's get ready to play, and our guys had a really good practice today.
So Parker Van Dyke will be our Subway Sub of the Week at Subway restaurants. If you get a signature wrap for $1 more, you can get a 21-ounce drink at Subway, the official training restaurant of the Utes. Just one quick point on Charles, then we'll take a break. Charles Jones, Chuck, as you call him, Charles Jones II, was the National Junior College Player of the Year last year. Scored a bunch of points, put up big numbers at College of Southern Idaho, and I think there was an expectation that Charles was going to come in here this year and really be an offensive shot in the arm for you. Well, that hasn't been the case right now. For whatever reason, he's struggled a little bit offensively. But for a guy that wasn't necessarily known for his defense, it looks like when the minutes he's getting right now, you've kind of used him as kind of an attack dog on one of the better guards on the other team, and he's strong and he's quick, and it almost seems like he's realized right now my offensive game isn't where it needs to be, and I'll work on that. But he seems to have embraced whatever the role, limited minutes, but when he gets on the floor, he seems to really get after it.
Yeah, no, and you hit it right on the head. It's and today's practice, I would say without question, was his best practice.
Okay.
When it gets to some of the offensive stuff, and I think he's willing, he wants to do well. There's been, sometimes it's not easy right after a game, and kids wear their emotions on their sleeve, but by the time you get together again, whether it's a film room or a practice, he's always engaged and back at it again. So he's working hard, and today was great. I mean, he scored more points in practice today than he scored in any practice, and he did a really good job defensively. And I just know from my own experiences with Karma how it works. If you stay in it, we're going to need everybody, and we've got who knows how many games left, 7 plus the tournament. And I just know there's going to be points where he's got an opportunity to rise up and make some plays for us. And he's a kid right now that everybody is cheering for because he's handling his business the right way.
We'll get to our Innovative Player of the Week for Utah basketball coming up. By the way, what's the number on the board right now?
For days?
Yeah.
Right now, it'd be like 32 or 33 till the championship game.
Till the championship game in Las Vegas. And by the way this conference has gone this year, if you try to tell me today you know who might play in that championship game, I'll tell you you're crazy because this conference is really up in the air. Today's show being brought to you by Anheuser-Busch, proud partner of Utah Athletics. We'll have more on the Coaches Show presented by Smith's next, right here from Learfield IMG College. And one right there by Jace Johnson. That's our Nissan drive of the game. Customize a Rogue to your favorite team's colors for a chance to win. To enter and for official rules, go to nissanusa.com/Rogue sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. Ends 3/31/19. I was just talking to you about Jace Johnson coming back in. He had 9 and 10 on Saturday. We was close to a double-double. 13 and 13 at USC. He's kind of been, the last 4 games, really consistent for you guys. I thought Jace has played pretty well on both ends.
I agree with you. Been really solid in all our coverages defensively and rebounding the ball. We've got to make sure when Jace isn't on the floor that we have a better impact. We were much better in the second half of the UCLA game. But, it's confidence. I think he's healthy. Each of the last 2 years, it's been some foot issues Jace has dealt with, and conditioning's a big part of it. And so I know, he played 36 minutes the other night. That's logging some major minutes, and confidence is a big thing. I think he's slowing down and finding his niche a little bit, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, he's been one of the kids that he'd run. You want him in your foxhole.
Yeah.
I mean, he stands for a lot of the right stuff, and I think you're just starting to see him kind of blossom, and we need to keep that going.
So we've named our Subway Sub of the Week. We did our Play of the Week. We've done our Drive of the Week. We need our Player of the Week. And you played well in both those games. The 77-70 win over USC, and obviously the win Saturday, the come-from-behind win. So
I'm going to go with Booth.
Booth?
Yeah, I think, in the USC game, I believe he got like 7 of our first 12 points.
He did?
In the starting spot. He still needs to make some improvements defensively. He didn't grade out well defensively, and some of that started with him trying to get offensive rebounds. He's done that his whole life with his size, and it really hurts us getting back in transition. That killed us at UCLA. So just discipline. Coach Hill had him in and looked at a whole bunch of video today, and when he starts figuring some things out on the defensive end and keeps playing with some confidence, making some great strides. And it's ironic because those are the guys we switched, in the starting lineup. And so now you got one guy that stepped in and was player of the game as far as starters go, and Parker earned himself the nod for the Subway Sub of the Week.
Booth's a pretty quiet kid. He doesn't say a whole lot.
You think?
Well, around me, I know he certainly doesn't.
Us either.
But he's one of these guys, not just this year, but I mean, he's playing a position where usually you like the guy to talk a little bit. He's playing that point guard position. Have you seen him come out of his shell a little bit since he's been here? Is he just one of those guys that's slow getting there?
Yeah, I mean, we've said it many times. It's really hard to be a freshman.
Yeah.
And you got to be pretty special to come out of your shell
as a freshman.
And it's a little reminiscent, to be honest with you, of DeLon. DeLon's junior year, it was the same thing. You couldn't get him to say a word. If you had where everybody in our team had to do some type of presentation, we'd make them stand up. DeLon was always, and he'd let him kind of pick the order. DeLon be the last guy, hoping that maybe you forgot about him. But then 1 year later, I mean, it was one of the coolest transformations I've ever seen, where, in terms of leader and doing things the right way. So, looking at that same analysis or comparison, to think that Booth can be around for 4 years, it's kind of funny, and it's unique to watch a kid be so shy, and we're hoping that as time goes on, he's going to continue to develop a little more outspoken mentality.
But he is our Innovative Player of the Week, brought to you by our friends at University of Utah Health. They've got 16 convenient neighborhood health centers for your family's health. They've got a health plan for you. Visit them online at uofuhealth.org. We'll take another time out here on the Coaches Show. We'll come back. Arizona's the opponent. 6:30 on Thursday night. Wildcats will be in. Utah's only beaten them once in the Pac-12 era. It was at the Huntsman Center. We'll talk a little bit about where this Arizona team is and what Utah's got to do on Thursday night. Coming up next, this is the Coaches Show presented by Smiths from Learfield IMG College. That play right there, welcome back into the Coaches Show, was one of the ones we were talking about early in the game. And it might have been the best play Riley Batten made all day long. He had the follow shot, and then he got back on defense, intercepted that ball playing center field, and then drew the foul from Prince Ali, so the clock stopped. Then he missed the free throw, but Timmy Allen caught it and stuck it back in again. And
Love it when a plan comes together.
I was about to say, just how you drew it up, right? Just how you drew it up.
Yeah. No, a little luck. Never heard anything. But it's funny when you talk about a missed free throw. Like we've done some free throw games where you challenge guys, and I've always said it, on the basketball court, there should only be one guy of the 10 that thinks it's going in, and the other 9 have to make the assumption it's not. And that's Timmy making a little extra effort on Riley's miss, because it's, all those one possession deals. Each time you get a possession, they add up, and talking about that and have it come true was all part of that comeback. So it's all those little things that you forget about.
And the other thing that you're seeing now different with Timmy Allen that maybe a month ago he wasn't doing. Now, the time played a little role in this, but he hasn't always gone right back up again. He's pump faked or taken a dribble or something like that. He got that rebound and went right back up on the glass and stuck it back in again.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing. We're working with Donnie and Jace. Sometimes it doesn't need to get if you have shot blockers, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But UCLA wasn't a big shot block team. It's either a shot blocker or building the wall kind of thing. And sometimes if you outquick them, they don't get a chance to get their body to you. And so that was good for Timmy. That's part of the learning curve, I think, for him coming in, seeing some development, and it's all just a fun part of the process.
Month and a half since you saw Arizona. They were the opening weekend of Pac-12 play this year. Your second game, you'd beaten ASU in the first one, then you went down to Tucson. And like most games seem to be in Tucson, it was tight and hard fought. It went to overtime, and you came up a bucket short in that game. But as you've now scouted Arizona just a little bit, they don't appear to be the same Arizona we've seen in recent years. They're down a little bit this year.
Yeah, they still really guard you. I think maybe they've had a hard time putting the ball in the basket. Field goal percentage is not where it normally is. And they've dealt with some injuries and some defections. Coaches, there's a lot of things going on, coaches being fired, and it's maybe, unsettled the ship a little bit. But it doesn't matter to me what record Arizona has or where they are in talking about our lack of success against them. And especially when we're counting these games that, after this weekend will be in one hand.
Yep.
And going down the stretch run, and it's always been important to play real well. And they really guard you. Sean's the best defensive coach in our league. And so we've got to be dialed into a plan. They were really good at their place. We made some big shots. Ed had a great, offensive game, and we were in that thing right to the end. But it's always physical. And then transition-wise, it's always a big, then we got to take care of the glass. And I think we can get out and run. I know they're going to try to do the same thing to us. They've been one of the few teams in our conference that comes into our building. A lot of times you get into the altitude and some of that stuff, and teams don't have as much explosion on you. But this is a team I know that Sean always talks about trying to get some early ones.
Well, and two, you've seen a lot of teams switch defenses on you this year, give you a lot of different looks. UCLA opened at a man. They've played primarily zone in recent weeks. Teams have done that. The one thing I think knock on a little wood here, Arizona's going to man you up. That's kind of who they are and what they do. They're not going to zone you much, if at all, are they?
Yeah, they're one of the teams that they've identified what it is that they're going to be good at, and they trust their ability to let you know what it is that they're going to do, and just try to be better. And they've done a heck of a job with that. I don't foresee any changes. But having said that, a lot of teams have been playing zone against us. So this is a big week to work on man execution and physicality, and try to predict what their plan is. But pick and roll is their staple defensively, and they do a really good job of you got to go through the sequences and see who's open, and then be willing, unlike in years past where we always tried to score off a pick and roll, to do it again. Make them do it again. They spend a lot of energy on that, and so to have multiple pick and rolls and be able to get the ball from one side to the other, even potentially inside and out, and have those multiple efforts again is big, because you're not going to get early good shots against Arizona. You've got to earn something and kind of outwork them a little bit.
Are you guys now to the point where offensively you're at a point you're expecting man from Arizona? You're going to work on man a lot this week. If something changed drastically and Sean threw a 3-2 or a 2-3 at you, are you at the point now, and you've faced enough defenses over the years or over the course of the season, that you feel like your guys now could make that, it may take you a possession, maybe two, but you could make that flip pretty quick, where maybe a month or two ago it would have been a struggle for you?
Yeah, there's no doubt. And that's the interesting thing about league play. You get pretty good at something, and then teams also know what you're good at. They've got a large data sample size in front of them right now of if teams use the same numbers that we do, and Dave Dunleavy does a heck of a job with some of the analytics. 1-3-1 half-court trap. If somebody threw that at you now, we've seen that Stanford, Washington State. So
Oregon.
It takes some of that experience, live experience, to, I think, then all of a sudden you kind of click, you go, okay, I remember what it is. And with time, as you get through the season, I think it's easier to make some of those adaptations.
This league is wide open. You're in a three-way tie right now for second place. Arizona State and Oregon State are right there with you. I think ideally, and I don't think it's any real secret, if you want to have a chance to win that thing in Vegas, and I know you guys do, you really almost need to have that first round bye, because it's tough in any league, this league or any league, to win 4 days in a row, isn't it?
Yeah, and I've told our guys that maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, after the Oregon State loss. The message in the locker room is, you're at this point of the season. It was the halfway point, 9 games down. There's going to be a certain number of teams that don't get any better. You've kind of gone through all the practice, and everybody just kind of coast to the finish line. And it's always been part of our mission statement is to keep getting better and try to play your best basketball at the end of the year. And and in that conversation comes, we need one of those top 4 spots, because Colorado did it now our first year in the league. They played 4 games and won them all. That's really hard to do. They also had a really deep team, and you have to have a number of things that are lining up. It's hard. I mean, we've played 3 games a couple times, and that third night, you're running on empty. We played the championship game the one year. And I'll tell you where that got us was the first game of the NCAA tournament, where we played something crazy like 6 games in 11 days when you count that one in. So anytime you can get an extra day of rest, it's imperative. And right now, the Utes will not be an at-large team, I don't think, regardless of what happens, unless we win that championship game. And that's the one thing that we're going to keep hanging our hat on. And with that comes taking care of our home court on Thursday, and then, when it gets closer, then you can kind of see how things play out and play some of those scenarios. But up until then, we're fighting like heck to try to get that by.
And it's not just you; it's 10 other teams, really, maybe 11 other teams in the league right now that have that same mantra and mindset. Because I don't know that anybody else outside of the Huskies up in Seattle would feel good about calling themselves an at-large team right now.
Right.
So that's that mindset and mantra of everybody.
Yeah, and I think Washington's done a heck of a job. Washington's not a team that I would want to run into, But, and I asked our guys, is the other 10 teams, is anybody afraid to match up on any given night in Vegas and try to beat them? And I'm also a believer in a little bit of good fortune. There's nothing saying, Washington, too, doesn't probably have to win the tournament to be an NCAA tournament team. And so you don't maybe have that edge. Maybe you're thinking about rest. Maybe you don't. I don't know what. I do know one thing. Even if you get to the championship game, nobody says it's going to be Washington. So it is completely wide open, and we're just going to keep grinding and chopping wood and trying to get there.
All right, we're going to come back on the other side, talk a little bit more about the game Thursday night, and then do 3 questions and a 2-man weave straight ahead. This is Utah basketball from Learfield, IMG College. All right, back on the Coaches Show tonight. Got about 90 seconds. 3-question, 2-man weave tonight. You ready to go?
Yeah.
Are you a ocean, lake, or river guy?
Ocean and lake, either one.
Not a river guy,
Not
though.
so much a river guy.
Okay.
Only for fishing.
If you had to pick ocean or lake, which would it be?
Flathead Lake,
Flathead
Montana.
Lake, Montana. You used to have a house up there, didn't you?
Yep.
All right, if you're going out to eat dinner and Jan is giving you the choice, what category of food are you picking when you go out to eat?
I'm going to go get a steak.
Really? You're not going to go with Thai food or Italian, you're just going steak?
Steak's kind of the go. We did Morton's.
Oh, you did Morton's down there
in
for your
LA.
anniversary.
Yeah. So that's kind of the answer to that. But
All
I
right.
have broadened it out, but there's nothing like a good steak.
Final question, NBA All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
If they were inviting you back in the day and you were participating in the skills competition, which skills competition would you have been best at?
Oh.
30 seconds.
Oh my goodness. Well, there's only one skill I could have even had a chance at, and that would have been the
Screen
three-point.
setting?
Yeah. Man,
Three-point shootout.
Three-point shootout.
You and your guy Larry.
I would have. I mean, that's the only one, because certainly the dunk would have been a blooper session. So what do they have? What's that?
Passing and other stuff like
I'd
that.
have a chance. I got first place in the
We're done.
Shelby, Montana Optimist
See you Thursday
contest.
night at the Huntsman
The
Center.
shot clock went off again, man. I'm going to shut down the government.
You took to. Oh.
Well, you started acting like we had all this time. I said steak.
I know.
You don't like Italian or Thai
Oh,
food?
I mean, that steak is, I guess that's a category. I thought you'd go with like Mexican.
I gave you a simple, short answer,
you
and you
did.
made it longer
That's
than it
on
had to
me.
be.
That's on me. No recognition of the
If I would
shot
have meant
clock.
Thai
I took
or
an extra
Italian,
dribble.
I would have said Thai or Italian.